Alright, listen up. Sonic and racing go absolutely hand in hand. We're talking about a character that's literally known as the fastest thing alive, and the whole premise of the game is to go as fast as possible. His slogan is "Gotta go fast, man." That's built for racing. And he has had multiple racing games throughout his tenure as a character. Sonic Riders is a game that people are absolutely crying out for some sort of revival. And listen, I get it, alright? Zero Gravity wasn't all that, and we don't talk about Free Riders at all. But the OG Sonic Riders was truly a misunderstood racing game. When you actually get the hang of it and how it plays, it is really fun. And if Sega did one day decide to revive the series and make it play more like the OG, I'd be on board. I'd be totally down for that. We also have the more traditional Sonic kart racer games, starting off with Sonic Drift 1 and 2, which are... I mean, they were super basic racing games for their time, and they didn't really do anything to set themselves apart except just feature Sonic characters. We don't really talk about the Drift series. Now, the Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing series is a little bit different. It is pretty much a if Sonic and friends were in Mario Kart kind of situation, but it's still its own fun to be had. The first game is serviceable. The second game, Transformed, is, in my opinion, one of the best kart races of all time, and I think the Transformed gimmick is so cool. And then Team Sonic Racing is... Team Sonic Racing. It really just dumbs it all down, and I'm not a big fan. And they also took out all the Sega characters too. Like, I actually really liked having the other Sega characters in it. We do also technically have the Rival series, if you want to count that. I mean, it's more traditional 2D Sonic gameplay where you race, and you know, they had a good attempt at what they were trying to do, but it's not really that notable a game, in my opinion, either 1 or 2. They did have the story elements to it, which I give it props for. I mean, we like a good story in a Sonic game. It gives it some kind of meaning. But overall, it's pretty meh. Now, what's up guys? Breeton boy from the future here. And if I sound a little bit different, don't even worry about it. Anyways, right before we get into my amazing idea that Sega should definitely take and use, something unexpected happened recently. At the Game Awards this year, Sonic Team announced a new Sonic racing game called Sonic Racing CrossWorlds. Now, we know next to nothing about this game. It is literally just a concept. We just see Shadow in a car, and he gets in the car and he goes through a portal, and that's it. That's all we get. Now, obviously, this game is more along the lines of a Team Sonic Racing, but in one of the shots, we do see what looks to be an extreme gear on the side. Now, whether that means they'll be playable in the game, I have no idea, but it is there. So just based on the little information we have in this trailer, I'm going to try and almost like guesstimate what this game could entail. Now, I think it will be very close to the rest of the Team Sonic Racing formula, as I said before, but potentially, I think they might be going for just trying to mishmash a whole bunch of ideas into this racing game. I think a key part of it is going to be going through these rings that are shown in the trailer, where you will like be in one location and then you drive through maybe like a checkpoint and you go through the ring and now you're in a different location. And I think courses will probably be like a mishmash of different locations, maybe between the real world and like some iconic Sonic locations, because the place where we see Shadow race, it doesn't look like anywhere from a Sonic game. I mean, the closest you could kind of put it is maybe you could say, oh, it looks like, you know, a city level like Westopolis or like a speed highway type thing, but it doesn't have the iconic Sonic look. It literally just looks like some urban street. Another thing is, with the inclusion of the extreme gear, I think we could see some extreme gear gameplay. Now, maybe they'll dumb it down, because I think having both the extreme gear and the fuel system and all of that in the same game as a racing Transformed, it just wouldn't make much sense unless they added a fuel system to the cars, which I really doubt they're gonna do. In terms of characters, it doesn't look like there's any Sega. It looks like it's very much Sonic focused, just like TSR, which kind of sucks. I'd like to see, you know, I'd like to see Crazy Taxi, I'd like to see, you know, Space Channel 5, all those series get like representation, because we just don't see it anymore. I know Sega is planning a whole like revival thing with all the other franchises, but you know, Sonic could kind of carry them, put them on the map again. I think that would be really cool. One thing also to note is the coming soon text and the crossword text do kind of give off vibes of Sonic Prime. So maybe it's going to be less Sonic locations, but more generic Switch locations, which you could switch between. Either way, I'm pretty excited to get more information about this. As long as it plays better than Team Sonic Racing and it's more along the lines of Transformed, I'm not really going to be bothered. I'll still have fun either ways. But yeah, let me know your guys' thoughts on Sonic Racing CrossWorlds in the comments below. I'm really excited to hear what people think about this. Anyway, that's enough from future Breeton. We're going to get back to current Breeton, and he's going to tell us how he thinks Sonic Racing can be made super again. Now, there is one Sonic Racing concept that I didn't mention yet, but I truly believe Sega needs to get back to this now. Right now, get in the lab and make this sequel, alright? And of course, you probably know what I'm talking about at this point. I'm talking about Sonic R. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Sonic R is a 1997 racing game that came out for the Sega Saturn, and it was developed by Traveler's Tales, the same company behind all those Lego Star Wars and Lego Harry Potter games that you'll be seeing coming out every year. Yeah, them. Now, unlike the more popular and more continued Sonic racing games that I mentioned previously, Sonic R was completely on foot. You could run, jump, glide, and fly your way throughout the stages, or drive if you're like Amy or Eggman. And for me, that's what really separates it from the other Sonic racing games. Like, you feel like you're still playing a Sonic game. You're just kind of racing now. Now, with a lot of modern Sonic games almost falling into the control scheme feeling like you're racing a car anyways, I feel like it just makes sense. There has been various examples throughout the Sonic series of how this concept can still work. One that comes to mind is the Sonic Adventure 2 Battle multiplayer. You have multiple characters of multiple different types in which you can race each other, you can affect each other, homing attack each other, and it still takes into account the skill needed to actually play a Sonic game. But now, you're racing to the end using those skills, and I think this would really connect with hardcore Sonic fans. Other examples I want to bring up are Sonic Heroes and Sonic 06. They also do a similar type of split screen, racing through the stage to beat the other person type of thing, and it's really, really fun. Now, I think it's a shame we haven't gotten this in a true modern Sonic fashion. The closest we got was the multiplayer in Sonic Colors, but then again, you weren't really racing, more so working together. And also, it was all in 2D, so you didn't really get that full 3D racing through a level Sonic experience. Now, around this time, obviously Sonic Team were trying to suppress Sonic and his dumb friends because of the critics, but just think of how stacked the Sonic racing game cast could be, and how many different unique abilities each character would get. It would give you a reason to choose other characters and not just Sonic. Obviously Sonic and probably Shadow would be the fastest ones. They would have boost, but Shadow could have chaos control abilities, and you could have people like Knuckles who could glide and climb on certain areas. Maybe that'll give them a certain other pathway through the stage. Tails, who could fly for a short duration. And if you're expanding to more of the cast, maybe you could have Espio, who could turn invisible for a short period, which allows him to not be seen by the other player, but also enemies on the stage who don't attack him. Especially with how the modern games really focus on optimizing routes and taking many different pathways to the same end, I really think that this could work. But even if you don't want to go with the modern style of gameplay, you can kind of bring back that adventure style, and that would really suit it. You got a lot of characters who generally suit that, and it's less boost, you can have more platforming. That also works too. I think the ultimate example of my point, and what really kind of got me to make this video, is the fan game known as Sonic Battle R. Now, Sonic Battle R is essentially one way I could see a Sonic R sequel working. They play in the adventure style of gameplay, and you have multiple different characters, but they all ultimately play the same. And you have multiple stages ranging from all the ones in the original Sonic R to a whole bunch of Adventure and Adventure 2 and Hero stages, as well as 06, and I think they're starting to add some new ones. They've got a couple stages from Sonic and the Black Knight and Sonic and the Secret Rings, and you can get to every single stage by exploring a hub world, which is basically Sonic Adventure's hub world. You got some cool little areas to check out, and every level kind of makes sense where it's placed. It's definitely worth checking out. If you haven't checked out the game already, I'll leave a link in the description. Go ahead and check it out. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. However, if you're more into the boost side of things than the adventure side of things, my other concept is essentially what would be like a Generations but multiplayer. It's like how you have the doppelganger challenges where you race against yourself, but instead of a ghost of yourself, it's other players. And I think it would be cool if the interactivity between players was almost kind of like the Sonic rival battle with Shadow, where you can boost into each other. If you're both boosting, you just kind of bounce off each other. If one of you is boosting, the other one doesn't, you damage them, knock some rings out of them, slow them down. And then if you're in situations where you homing attack someone, maybe it doesn't damage them and they lose all their rings, but maybe you're able to get some momentum off of homing attacking them, and then you kind of jump forward, get some momentum, and they kind of slow down. I think that would be really cool. Anyways, that was just a couple ideas I had for a new Sonic racing game. If that's something that you'd be interested in, let me in the comments below, and let me know some of your ideas for a new Sonic racing game. I'm telling you, a Sonic R sequel, in my opinion, is much needed and really fits the identity of the series the most. But if you disagree, let me know in the comments below. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed and you want to be involved in more Sonic discussions on this channel. But yeah, it's been a great one, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace!